Good morning students, welcome to today's class. Today we are going to revise chapter 2 physical and chemical changes. So the first part we will be discussing today. So let's start. So our today's point to be discussed are a different kind of changes, physical and its physical change and its characteristics, examples of physical change, and we will be discussing on those examples. So these are the different kind of changes, slow and fast changes. Examples of slow changes will be the changes which will take some time to occur, like uh, growing of uh, growing of tree, we will say change of day and night. These are the changes which will take some time to occur, whereas fast changes are just opposite to that, the changes which will not take much time. These are very fast changes, they will take very less time to occur. Okay, like bursting of a firecracker, or burning a piece of paper. These are we can say as first changes. Many more are there. Natural and man-made changes, the changes which will occur of their own naturally. These are natural changes, like growing of a tree, or change of day and night, or change of season. These are natural changes, we will say. Ripening of fruit, these are natural changes, whereas man-made changes, the changes which we used to do, like burning a paper, we can say bursting of a firecracker, cooking of food. These are man-made changes. Next, periodic and non-periodic changes. Periodic changes are those changes where the changes will uh, occur after a certain time. Okay, they will repeat themselves. The changes, they will repeat themselves after a interval of time, we will say. Okay, so periodic changes are examples you can give as change of day and night, change of season. These are periodic changes, we can say, whereas non-periodic changes, where we will not get any repetition like periodic changes. So for these changes we can give the example of earthquake we can give, or a pandemic we can give, epidemic we can give. Okay, so these are non-periodic changes, we will say. Landslide is a non-periodic change. uh, so the changes which will not repeat themselves in a regular interval of time. Next, reversible and irreversible changes. uh, Reversible changes, by the name only we can say the change which will reverse themselves. That means after getting the product from the reactant again can uh, change to the product. So those changes, generally reversible changes, these are physical changes. Mostly physical changes are reversible, like the change of state of water, we can say. Change of state of water, like from ice to water and water to ice, easily we can get the change. Or from water to water vapor, and water vapor to water, this is again reversible change. From uh, reactant to product we are getting, again the product can be converted to reactant. Irreversible changes, just opposite to the reversible change, where we cannot, once we get the product from the reactant, we cannot again come back to the original form, original original reactant again. Okay, that means once the change is done, once the reaction is done, it's done forever, we cannot change it. Okay, like cooking of food, these are irreversible changes. Or like burning a piece of paper. After a paper is burnt, we cannot we can just get the ash from the paper. We can just once the paper turned to ash after burning and all, the ash cannot be converted back to paper, so it's a irreversible change. So these are the different kind of changes. Next, physical, one more kind is there, one more type of change is there, that is physical and chemical change, which in detail we will be discussing. Okay, so physical change we will be doing today. Its definition can be given as: a physical change is one in which a substance alters temporarily in some or all of its physical property. Temporarily, because the change is not permanent. Okay, we can come back to its original state again, original form again. And in some or all of its physical property, after getting the change, after getting the physical change, the substance which is undergoing the change, that can change its physical property. Okay, maybe all physical property it may change, or some of its physical properties may change. That is the physical properties like state, shape, size, appearance. Maybe all are changing, or maybe few of them are changing. Okay, but not its chemical composition. Its chemical composition will remain same, it will not change, but its physical properties like state, shape, size, appearance, that can be changed after a physical change, and this change is temporary, so we can go back to its original state or original form again. So these are the characteristics of physical change. Here no new substance is formed in a physical change. We are not getting any new substance, as its chemical composition is remaining same. The changes are permanent, the changes are temporary and reversible. Okay, that is, the substance returns to its original state on changing the conditions. If we change the condition, to get the forward reaction, or to get the uh, from the reactant we are getting the product. So this, if we say uh, forward reaction, then from the product when we are getting the reactant, this is called backward reaction. So if in forward reaction we need to heat the substance, if we need to heat the matter, then just reversing the uh, condition means now we have to cool it down, we can get the reactant again. So by changing the condition, we can go back to the original state for a physical reaction, for a physical change. There is no change in mass during a physical change. During a physical change, no mass will be changed, the mass will remain same. There is usually no gain or loss of energy as a result of physical change. So these are the characteristics of physical change. Now we will be discussing some examples. Melting of rocks, this is a kind of physical change where just after applying heat and all, if we heat a wax, if we heat some wax, in a spoon we can take, or in a test tube we can take some wax, or normal from a candle we can see, uh, when we will be lighting the candle, some wax will melt because of the heat and all. So the melted wax, that will come back to its original form again, it will again solidify and it will come back to its original form. So here, during the melting of wax, only the state of the wax is changing, that is from solid to liquid again after uh, getting solidified, after cooling uh, down, when we are getting the solid wax again. So just the state of the wax is changing from solid to liquid, again from liquid to solid. Here no composition is changing, its mass is not changing. So these are the this change is a physical change, we will say, because it is fulfilling all the physical all the characteristics of physical change. So melting of wax is a physical change. Next, interconversion of states of matter. This is a very good example of physical change. Here you can see from solid ice we are getting the water, that is liquid. By this process is called melting. Here we are heating the solid ice, or if we keep it in open, then also because of the room temperature it will melt. So we are getting the liquid water. Now if we heat the water, it will vaporize and we will be getting gaseous form of water, that is water vapor. Now this process is called vaporization, you know. Now we will go reverse. That means the gaseous state or the water vapor, that will condense. If we condense this, if we lower the temperature, if we just take out the heat from this, then it will condense and it will form liquid water again. And again from the if we freeze the liquid water, if we cool it down, then it will freeze to form the solid state of water, that is ice. That means all the states of water can be convertible, it is they interchange, and so these changes are all the changes, these are reversible and these are temporary change, we will say. Here no composition is changing, the molecule of ice, or the we can say the formula of ice, that is H2O. For water also the formula is same, H2O, and for water vapor also the formula is same, H2O. So its composition is remaining same. Here we are not getting any evolution or absorption of heat is not it's not there. Okay, though from outside we are heating or we are taking out the heat, but here during the change we are not getting any as such evolution or absorption of heat. So this interconversion of states of matter, states of water, this we can say as this, we can give as physical change, example of physical change. Okay, next, sublimation of argin and camphor. So here sublimation means directly from solid state we are getting the vapor state. So for sublimation of iodine, we can see in a test tube we will be taking the iodine, solid iodine, and we will be heating that. So during this heating of iodine we are getting the vapor of iodine. You can see the violet vapor of iodine here, and then it will solidify in this inner wall of the test tube, and again we can get back the solid iodine. So here sublimation of iodine during this process, this is a physical change. The composition of iodine is remaining same. This change is temporary and reversible. Here all the, that means it's fulfilling all the characteristic of physical change. In case of camphor also it will give the same changes like iodine. Camphor also can show sublimation. From solid camphor we will be getting the vapor of it. Okay, again the vapor will solidify to get back the solid camphor again. So sublimation is a physical change. Breaking of glass, if we break a glass tumbler, we can see we cannot get back to its original form. That means it is irreversible. But here, as composition is not changing, we are not getting any energy change and all, so it's a physical change we will be saying, though it is irreversible change, and it's a permanent change we can say. Okay, so composition is the main factor. If its composition is remaining same, then only physical change has been occurred. Dissolution of sugar or salt in water. This is another example of physical change. During dissolution of sugar or salt in water, the sugar particle or salt particle will dissolve in the intermolecular space of water. It will get adjusted in the intermolecular space of water, and it will dissolve it. It will become soluble. But from the solution, sugar solution or salt solution, we can get back the salt or sugar again. If we use the evaporation technique, we can get back the sugar and salt again, and we can recover the water also. Okay, so here composition of sugar and water, or salt and water, is not changing. It's remains same only after getting the solution. So during dissolution, only a physical change will be occur. So, and it's fulfilling all the characteristics of a physical change. So this change is an example of physical change. So this is all for today. Now we are going to discuss the worksheet which was given in our last class, your previous class. So let's do that. So this was the 2 pages were there. So this is the first question. Choose the correct option. So what is the Latin name of sodium? You know all. Sodium's Latin name is natrium. For that, we are getting the symbol for sodium is Na. Okay, so natrium is the Latin name of sodium. Kalium is, this is for potassium. Stannum is SN, tin, and stibbium is antimony, Sb. So next, which of the following elements is the most abundant metal on earth? So most abundant metal on earth, that is aluminium. Okay, most abundant metal. Which of the following elements is monoatomic in nature? Sodium is monoatomic. Here chlorine, nitrogen and oxygen, except sodium, all these three are diatomic. So sodium is the monoatomic element here. All the metals, these are generally monoatomic. Dash is an example of a triatomic molecule. So triatomic molecule where 3 atoms are there. See H2O, 2 hydrogen atom and 1 oxygen atom. So total 3 atoms are there in water molecule. So water is an example of triatomic molecule. Next, which of these methods of separation is based on the size and shape of the components of the mixture? So size and shape, depending on this, we will be choosing hand picking. So hand picking is the correct option. Which of these methods would you use to separate a mixture of salt and sand in water and also recover the water? To recover the water, we have to use distillation process. If we choose evaporation, then we cannot recover the water. The water will vaporize and we cannot, it will escape, it will get mixed in the atmosphere and all, and we cannot recover it. So distillation is the process to recover the water and to separate mixture and mixture of salt and sand. uh, that will be filtration process. By filtration, after filtration, as residue we will be getting the sand, and salt and water, uh, it will form the filtrate, and then with the filtrate we will be using the distillation process. During distillation, water will vaporize, and we will after condensing it, we will be getting back the water, and salt will remain in the round bottom flask during the distillation. So option C is the correct answer. Next, a separating funnel is used to separate. Separating funnel is used to separate liquids that do not mix well. That means for immiscible liquid we will be using separating funnel. Like immiscible liquid means oil and water. Okay, so next, question number B. True or false, we have to say. Pure substances can be element or compound. So this will be true. Pure substances are two types. These are elements and compounds. Next, nitrogen is the most abundant element in the earth crust. Now, in the earth crust, the most abundant element will be oxygen, but nitrogen is the most abundant in atmosphere. So on earth crust, nitrogen is not the most abundant element, so this will be false. Compounds are formed through chemical reaction. Yes, it is true. All mixtures are homogeneous in nature. No, it's false. Mixtures may be homogeneous or heterogeneous, both. All solids always change state directly into gases when they are heated. No, all solids always cannot change its state directly. Only the substances which will show sublimation, only for those solids this is true, but it will not shown by all solids. So this is false. Distillation is used to purify water. Yes, that's why it is called distilled water. The fact that two liquids have different boiling points is used in fractional distillation to separate liquids. This is true. Next, all mixtures can be separated by one single method. This is false. Mixtures cannot be separated by one single method. Now we have to differentiate between the terms elements and compounds. This you can write your own. Have done it earlier, and from the study material also you can get that. Distillation and fractional distillation, this also I hope you can do your own. Distillation is the method which we will use to separate solid liquid mixture, whereas fractional distillation we will be choosing to separate two miscible mixture, two miscible liquids. Okay, so this is the difference between distillation and fractional distillation. For fractional distillation, the difference between the difference of boiling point of the two liquids, difference in boiling points of the two liquids, that we will consider. On the basis of that, the fractional distillation process is chosen. And for distillation, one among the component, one component means the solid will remain, that will non-volatile, the solid is non-volatile, whereas the liquid is volatile. For those mixtures, one will be volatile and another will be non-volatile. We will be choosing this distillation process. So generally this is the main difference between distillation and fractional distillation. Okay. So this is all for today. Just as you are doing regularly, you do your classes, you and now you are revising the chapters, so you just revise it, just go through it again and again. If you are having any doubt, you just check that, and take care of yourself, and do study properly. Okay, and go through the worksheets, and just regularly you keep doing that. Okay, so have a good day. Thank you.